Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Benaiah from WFI Manchester, UK. Just wanted to do a quick breakdown. Hopefully it'll be a quick one, here willing. Just wanted to prove that the Jews are black, right? The Jews are black. Kanye's not crazy, right? Let's get into this. I want to make it a quick one, but I've got a lot of precepts that I want to get through. You know, most high willing, we'll be able to go through them today. So first precept, Revelation 1 and verse 3. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. The time was at hand when John the Revelator was writing these words. So imagine how closer we are now. And it says what? And keep those things which are written therein. You know, keeping the precepts, keeping the commandments of the Most High God. It's very important that we keep the commandments in the last days, right? It's great to have faith. You need to have faith. You also must keep the commandments, because faith without works is dead, right? When we read the book of James, right? So the title is proving the Jews are black. There's so many precepts we can go to, but let's take it slowly. Let's go to Exodus. Let's start in the Old Testament. This is Exodus chapter 2 and verse 18. It says, and when they came to Ruel, their father, he said, how is it that ye are come so soon today? And they said, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us, and watered the flock. Now, if you know the history, you know that that's talking about Moses, right? This woman, right? She mistook Moses for an Egyptian. Now, if you know anything about history, the Egyptians of antiquity are black people. They are black, and I want to say blick, because they're really dark skinned, the real Egyptians, right? Really, nowadays they're the Sudanese, because they've moved down. The people inhabiting in Egypt today are really the Arabs, right? So the Egyptians of antiquity are black people, and we see a woman mistaking Moses for an Egyptian, right? Let's go to Acts. This is the book of Acts. I want chapter 21. Acts chapter 21 and verse 37. Right? It's the book of Acts chapter 21 and verse 37. And it reads, and as Paul was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, may I speak unto thee? Who said, canst thou speak Greek? Art not thou that Egyptian, which before these days made us an uproar, and led us out into the wilderness, 4,000 men that were murderers? So here again, we're seeing another account of, a captain, a chief captain at that, mistaking Paul for an Egyptian. Now, last I checked, Paul was a Jew, right? From the tribe of Benjamin. Why would they mistake him for an Egyptian if he didn't look like the Egyptians? It's because they looked exactly the same, right? But the Most High put a difference between us, nonetheless. Just because we look the same doesn't mean we're the same. The Most High put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel, right? Let's go to that quickly. Right, this is the book. Bear with me a second. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 11 and verse 7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue, against man or beast, that ye may know how that the Lord does put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. So there's a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. That's thus saith the Lord. Right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 2. This is the book of Matthew chapter 2 and verse number 13. Matthew chapter 2 and verse number 13. It reads, "And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeareth to Joseph in the dream, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him." So an angel is given Joseph and Mary to take Christ and flee into Egypt because Herod's trying to kill him. So he's trying to hide them. Now, why would they go into an all-black country to hide if they were Caucasians, if they were so-called white people today? That don't make no sense. The only way to blend in is to look like the same people there. So again, this is proving that Christ, the Jews, they're all black according to the Bible. There's so many verses to go to. Let's keep going. Let's go to Exodus, back to Exodus. This is Exodus chapter 4 and verse number 6. It reads, "And the Lord said furthermore unto him, Put now thine hand unto thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow." So he's put his hand in his bosom, he took it out, his hand was leprous as snow, meaning it was so-called white, right? Now, and he said, "Put thine hand into thy bosom again." And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. So if he put his hand in, he took it out, and it was leprous as snow. And he put it back in, and he took it back out, and it was turned as his other flesh again. What would be his other flesh be? Darker. A darker flesh. That's plain upon tables. Alright, let's go to 2nd Esdras. It's a book of 2nd Esdras. I want chapter 15 and verse Salakia. 2nd Esdras chapter 5 and verse number 23. 2nd Esdras 5 and verse 23. We're going to read on down. It says, "And said, O Lord, thou that bearest rule of every wood of the earth, and of all the trees thereof, thou hast chosen thee one only vine." So the Most High's got favorites. Excuse me. Everything is created. He has favorites. Just like we've got favorites. How can we think us as human beings, we have favorites? We have these feelings. You know, we feel hate, we feel love, we feel envy, right? We feel anger. And the Creator who created us hasn't got none of these things. How does that make sense? He has to have these emotions for us to be able to inherit those if he created us. Right? So let's continue. Verse 24. "And of all lands of the whole world, thou hast chosen thee one pit, and of all the flowers thereof, one lily." The Most High's favorite flower is a lily. "And of all the depths of the sea, thou hast filled thee one river. And of all the builded cities, thou hast hallowed Zion unto thyself." The Most High's favorite city is Zion, Jerusalem. "And of all the fowls that are created, thou hast named thee one dove." The Most High's favorite fowl is a dove. "And of all the cattle that are made, thou hast provided thee one sheep." The Most High's favorite cattle is a sheep. It's not a goat, it's not a bull, right? It's a sheep. "And among all the multitudes of the peoples, thou hast gotten thee one people. And unto this people whom thou lovest, thou gavest a law that is approved of all." Verse 28. "And now, O Lord, why hast thou given this one people over unto many? And upon the one root hast thou prepared others? And why hast thou scattered thy only one people among many?" right? Ezra's pleading to the Most High, right? Why has the Most High done this unto his people and scattered them unto many? So who are his people? The people that were scattered. We're going to find out it's the so-called black, so-called Hispanics, and so-called Native Americans. We're God's chosen people because we're the one who fit the prophecies of this Bible. Not everybody, right? Luke 21. This is a book of Luke, chapter 21 and verse 24, right? And it reads, this is the word of Christ, red letter. It says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So whoever is living in the land of Jerusalem today, they're the Gentiles. Because Christ prophesied the real Jews, the real Israelites, they'll be led away captives into all nations. They'll be led away captives into all nations. Who went into captivity into all nations? Right? We're going to find out later on. But let's go to Ezekiel. It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 36 and verse 5. It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord God, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea. Idumea is another name for Edom, Esau, so-called white man, so-called red men today, the rednecks, right? Which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. So they're doing all sorts of wickedness in our land. That's our land. But this is prophesied. This is thus saith the Lord. Right? They will be dwelling in our land today. Let's go to 2nd Ezra. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6 and verse number 9. I'm going to start at 8. It says, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. This is a prophecy that Esau will be ruling in the end times. It was the end times when Christ came and died and ascended. The end times started from then. And Esau was in power then. Right? The so-called white man, the Greeks, the Romans, they were in power then. So that's plain that Esau is the so-called white man today. There's so many prophecies on that, but that's not the topic today, right? I'm going to try and stay on topic. Let's go to Job. This is the book of Job, chapter 30 and verse number 30, right? Salakia, I'm in Psalms. It's the book of Job, chapter 30 and verse number 30. It says, my skin is black upon me, and my bones are burned with heat. Right? Obviously, in the context, Job was going through stuff. Right? Nonetheless, even if you're going through stuff, if you're a so-called white man, your skin does not turn black when you're aggravated or when you're going through trauma. Right? Let's go to Lamentation. This is the book of Lamentation, chapter 4 and verse 8. You just can't get around this one. Lamentation chapter 4 and verse 8. It says, their visage is going into your face. In French, visage, right? Their visage is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth to their bones. It is withered. It is become like a stick. The bit I want, their visage is blacker than a coal. Their face is blacker than a coal. Right? How can this be? How can this book be written by white people when we're reading verbatim talking about their faces being black? And there's so many more that we've been blinded by the Christian church, by Esau's devices, man. But that's it. It's the end of it. We're coming to this truth. We're understanding what we're doing, right? Because the Bible says, blessed is he that readeth. Right? Songs of Solomon. Song of Solomon, I'm going to start off chapter 1 and verse 1. It says, the Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. Before people start saying, oh yeah, it's a woman that's writing it. No, let's read what it says. The Song of Solomon, the Song of Songs, which is Solomon's, meaning Solomon's writing this. If you read the book of Psalms, it tells you Solomon wrote plenty songs, right? I'm gonna drop down to verse 5. It says, I am black but comely. I am black but comely. Comely meaning beautiful. I've never heard any so-called Caucasian say, oh, I'm white and beautiful. Nah, that's a term we use. I'm black and beautiful. I'm black and proud. Even back then, right? Check this out. This is Song of Solomon chapter 1 and verse 10. It says, thy cheeks are comely with rows of jewels, thy neck with chains of gold. We will make thee borders of gold with studs of silver. Who's known for rocking gold chains, right? For having gold in their teeth and doing this in pictures with chains, doing this. We're known for that. We're known for that. This is our book. But you got to have eyes to see it, Christ said it is given unto you to understand the mystery, but unto them it's not given. So if you can't see this, that's the will of the Most High, right? Right, let's go to Acts. Let's go to Acts. Now, if you can't see this one, then I don't know what to tell you. This is Acts chapter 13 and verse 1. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger. That's how you would say it when you get up the blue letter Bible, right? That was called Niger. Nigger. The word simply means black. Do your research. The word nigger simply means black. Why are Barnabas and Simeon at Antioch? Why were they called nigger? Why were they called the black men? Because they were black. Right? Let's go to Revelation. Right? It's the book of Revelation, chapter 1 and verse number 1. The revelation of YAHAWASHI HaMashiach, or who the words called Jesus Christ, which Yahweh gave unto him, who the world calls God, to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John. So this is the revealing of Jesus Christ, right? We're about to reveal what Jesus Christ looked like. Because this is the first time you're reading anything about what Christ may look like. But we just read about the Jews, what the Jews look like, right? Let me get this one in Jeremiah quickly. Right. This is Jeremiah chapter 14 and verse 2. It says Judah, which is another name, it's another short for Jews, right? Judah mourneth, meaning the Jews are in mourning, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. Yeah, you can read that in context and say, yeah, it's talking about a state of being, how they were at the time. Well, reading it verbatim, it says the Jews are black onto the ground, right? Couple that up with all the precepts I'm bringing out. The Jews are black. You can't get around it. Now we're about to read the revelation of Jesus Christ. This is Revelation chapter 1 and verse 13. It says, and in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow. He had woolly hair and it was white. His eyes were as a flame of fire. Because when you read Genesis 49, right, Moses prophesied he would come with he would drink wine, right, and the whites of his eyes turn red when we drink wine. Verse 15. and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. His feet were like brass, as if you burned it in a furnace. What color does anything, when you put it in the furnace, you bring it back out? It turns black. You can have the whitest paper, put it in the furnace, bring it out. It's charcoal dark. Can't get around it. Right? And it says, and his voice as the sound of many waters. Meaning he wasn't no soft-spoken, oh, hi, guys. You know, come as you are. I love you all. Nah. Jesus was an austere man. He had a voice like as of many waters. Right? He was an authoritative man. He wasn't playing around. But nowadays they've got our Lord and Savior looking all soft. He ain't no soft man. And they're going to see that when he comes back. Right? Right. Let's go to Hebrews. Because obviously, reading that, you know, I've encountered certain Jehovah's Witnesses. They read that, they say, well, that's him in his higher state, in his glorified state. Right? But what does the Bible say about that? What does the Bible say? Let's go to Hebrews. This is Hebrews 13 and verse 8. Jesus Christ, YAHAWASHI Mashiach, the same yesterday and today and forever. So YAHAWASHI is the same yesterday, today and forever. So how he looked then, that's how he looks now. That's how he looks next to the Father right now. Right? Let's go to Genesis. Let's go to Genesis real quick. This is Genesis chapter 32 and verse number 27. And it says, and he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and has prevailed. So Jacob's name was changed to Israel. That's how we know we're part of the 12 tribes of Israel. That's why we use the word Israel, because we're descendants of Jacob, whose name is now Israel. Israel was a person, right, before it was a land. Okay? Israel was a person before it was a land. So we're the real Israelites, as I'm about to demonstrate through the prophecies. Let's go to Deuteronomy. This is Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse 1. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel on this side Jordan in the wilderness. Right? So these are the words Moses is speaking to Israel, the Israelites. He's not speaking to anybody else. He's not speaking to the Ishmaelites. He's not speaking to the Edomites. He's not speaking to the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Hagarenes, the Amorites. He's not speaking to none of them. Right? He's speaking to the Israelites, specifically the Israelites. Right? Let's go to 28. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse number 15. It reads, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So this is a contrast, right? The Most High said, you keep my commandments, I'm going to set you on high. If you don't keep my commandments, these curses are going to come upon you. The curses will come upon you, right? I'm going to read some of these curses, and then we can see who that fits today. It's plain up on tables who these curses fit. That's why we claim that we are the true Jews. That's why we claim that the Jews are black, right? And it's not just by skin color, right? It's not about skin color. It's about the lineage you descend from. It's about your father, right? This is Numbers. Let me prove that quickly. This is Numbers 1 and 18. It says, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers. So you know who you are. Your pedigree is your lineage by the house of your father. So, you know, moving forward, we know that there's going to be Israelites who's going to come in different shades. There's going to be Israelites who are going to look Caucasians. But if you go back, you go back. Right? Their father could be a so-called black man or a so-called Mexican. That would make him an Israelite. It's not about skin color. It's about the man you descend from. Right? Now let's read some of these curses. This is Deuteronomy 28 and verse, I'm going to read 32. It says, thy sons, now I'm going to start at 16, verse 16. Curse shall thou be in the city, and curse shall thou be in the field. Who's cursing the city today? Who's living in the ghettos? Ghettos meaning where the Jews always resort. That's what ghetto actually means. But who's actually known for living in the ghettos? So-called black people. Right? It says, curse shall thou be in the field. Who was cursed in the field? In the cotton field, the tobacco field, the sugarcane field, right? Who was cursed in those fields? Who was getting whipped for not bringing enough cotton, right? For not hitting the amount of cotton you're supposed to pick that day. Who was getting lashes on their backs? I've never seen the white man get no lash on their back. They couldn't handle it, right? Verse 32, Deuteronomy 28 and 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. So there was nothing we could do when our sons, you know, our forefathers' sons and daughters were given into another people, right? They'll be telling you, yeah, we've got a young buck, you know, very young buck strong for $20 or £20, whatever it might be. We were the one getting sold on those auction blocks. I've never seen no white people being sold. They're put in our faces. They're put in movies. Till this day, they're still putting movies about it. They're making money from it. But yet our people are blind to it. Our people don't even realize. Oh, let me go to this precept quickly. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 1 and verse 3. It says, the ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. Ox and asses, they're dumb animals. The ass is a donkey. He knows his master crib. You can take an ass from, I'll say, from Liverpool, right? And you could be living in Manchester. You drop that donkey in Liverpool, that donkey will find his way from Liverpool to your house. They're not smart, but they'll know their way home. So the Most High is comparing us to dumb animals. But look what it says. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel, the children of Israel, does not know. My people does not consider. We don't even consider that. They call us black, but really we're all different shades of brown. Right? They change our nationality. Right? It was Negro, colored, black. How does that nationality keep changing? You know, our nationality is constantly changing. We don't even consider that. Why did we even go into slavery? Why are we only seeing like black people in slavery? Why haven't we never seen white people in chattel slavery? Getting their backs beat. Right? Why has that never happened to anybody else? Why only us? We don't even consider. Right, let's continue in the curses. This is Deuteronomy 28 and verse 37. It says, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. Now all the nations look at us like they're astonished, like, wow, these people, they really do this. We got artists like Suki Hannah talking about, I'm in London, I want to suck somebody's, I don't even want to say it, right? You got artists like Sexy Red talking about she had every STDs, right? And she's glorifying it. Our people are doing these things, right? And we glorify these type of madness, right? We're an astonishment to the other nation. It says a proverb, right? A black man can raise an elevator can raise a family, but a black man can't. Right? All black men love chicken. All black men love watermelon. Right? A proverb. Negro, black, anything outside of your God-given nationality, which really you'd be an Israelite. Right? God's chosen people. You got power with God and man, and we prevailed. We're from that seed of Jacob. That's why we've got so much zeal for the Most High. That's why we fill out those churches. Every church you're going to go, for the most part anyway, if there's black people around, we want to go to church. We don't even know what we believe in, but we know we believe in something. We know we believe in God, so we want to be in that church. Right? We have that zeal for God, but not according to knowledge. That's what Paul said. Let me get that quickly. Just a quick precept. This is Romans chapter 10 and verse, I'm going to start at 1. It says, "Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. For they being ignorant of God's righteousness is keeping the law when you read Deuteronomy 6 and 25. And going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God." So we're taking our own understanding and running with, oh, well, this feels good to me, so I'm going to do it. So you're not submitting to the righteousness of the Most High, but then you establish your own. That's wicked. That's why we're in the predicament that we're in today. Right? Let's continue in the curses. Let's go to I want to read verse 49. Salakia, verse 41 first. It says, "Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity, into slavery." Who didn't enjoy their sons and daughters ever in history because they had to be sold into slavery? I've never seen that happen to no white man. Only our people. If it has, please, if anybody knows, please show it. Give me the proof. Let's go in history and show us. We don't even need to go into history. We can just pull up movies. They're put in our faces now. 12 Years a Slave, Roots, right? There's many more. Verse 46. Verse 46. It says, "And they," meaning the curses, "and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever." So those curses are going to be on us for a sign and a wonder. What does a sign do for you? You see a stop sign, you know, oh, I need to stop. You're hungry, you want some food. You see Lidl, you see Aldi, you see Tesco's. You know, oh, this is where I can get food, right? These signs are these curses, as they're going to be the signs. And it says, what? A wonder. It's to make you think. To make you think, who is this happening to? Who fits these curses? Who went on, I've not even got there yet, but we're going to get there. Who went on slavery on slave ships? That's the last curse, which we're going to get in a minute, right? Whose sons and daughters were given into another people, right? Who's having a hateful eye toward one another? That's another curse I'm going to read in a minute, right? It's to wonder, make you wonder, to make you think. Let's continue. So this is verse 48. Deuteronomy 28 and 48. "Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee." So the Most High God sent these people against us. Why? Because we didn't obey His commandments. We signed a contract with blood, right? That's in Exodus. We signed the contract. Our forefathers did that. Said everything in this law we will do. And then they didn't do it. Now we're subject to having their knees put on our neck for 9 minutes, right? "Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things." If you need to leave the country, passport, you need to go to the so-called white man. Or, yeah, the so-called white man. You need some food, either so-called white man, Pakistan, Chinese, right? You're going to go to anybody else but your own people. Because all these people had us in slavery when you look into your history, right? It says, "And he, the same enemy, shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee." Look into history. Who has had yokes of iron upon their neck? Chains, heavy chains, metal chains on your neck. And then you were tied to another brother with metal chains on his neck. You had to walk in uniform. Who did that happen to? And it says, until he had destroyed thee. We don't have yokes anymore on our necks because we're destroyed now. Now we think we're black, right? We think we're Negroes. We hate each other in our hearts, right? We're destroyed now. We think it's okay to have all the STDs and glorify it. We think it's okay to sleep with multiple women, to have different baby moms, to be a whoremonger, to just care about money. We think that's okay now because why? We're destroyed in the mind as a people, right? I'm going to go verse 49. Deuteronomy 20 and 49. It says, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. Look into history. The nations with eagles as their emblems. The United States, they still have it. Germany, the UK had it. France, right? Spain, Portugal. All of them had, their symbols was the eagle. Because the eagle rules the sky. He's an animal of prey, right? He waits, he swoops down and takes his enemies, takes him up and then drops him and then kills him. You've seen an eagle, I've seen an eagle do that with a goat. Kill the goat and then they start picking on his body. Their symbol is the eagle. The Messiah is writing, this Bible is writing in similitudes, right? It's in similitudes. It's double fold. A lot of these things are double fold, but you've got to study to understand it. And you've got to have eyes to see it, right? This is Hosea chapter 12 and verse 10. It says, I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophet. The Messiah uses similitudes. He doesn't write it plain upon tables all the time. He uses similitudes, and he wants you to study it to get the understanding, right? This is Job chapter 11 and verse 6. It says, and that he would show thee the secrets of wisdom, that they are double to that which is. Know therefore that God exacteth of thee less than thine iniquity deserveth, right? The secrets of wisdom, they're double. A lot of the things that you see, it means one thing, but it also means something else. It's double fold, right? Dark sayings, similitudes, right? Verse 54, Deuteronomy 28 and 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother. Now, who's watching face whenever you're walking around the street? You don't even know the brother, but you're eyeing it like, we do that to one another. I have that done to me. And I don't even know. I got love for the brother, but man's looking at me like I owe him something. Why? Because we're the ones under these curses. We're the ones who killing each other in the streets. Black on black crime, right? Different gangs. Like, for example, in Moss Side, where we're at, there's different gangs in there, right? You're from this postcode, you're from Moss Side, I'm from Moston. We got beef because we live in different areas. Same thing with the United States, the Crips and the Bloods. And there's even the GDs now, different type of gangs just popping up everywhere. All of that filled with hatred, and it's our people doing this. Drill music, trap music, it's all about rapping, about killing your own brother. We are living these curses. I'm going to read that again. Deuteronomy 28 and 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate. Because we used to be tender among one another. We used to have love for one another. Brother, do you need some help? Here's some money, you don't have to pay me back. Brother, do you need some help with your shopping? I'll get you your shopping, bro. Don't worry about getting that to me back, you know. Your mom needs some help? All right, I'll drive her, I'll drop her off. Don't worry about it. But look at it now. The man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Who's known for beating up their wives, for beating up the woman in the household? We are. Who's known for leaving their children fatherless? We are. Having different baby mothers. Nick Cannon's got like 12 kids with 8 different women. Future, the rapper. Right? We're known for these things. How can we not fit this? We just read it earlier. Right? And these shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Till this day, we've still got these curses onto us. This is the final curse. Deuteronomy 28 verse 68. It says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Now that word Egypt, Misrahim, right, is synonymous for another word. Because we know the Israelites, they walked into Egypt and then they walked out. Moses parted the Red Sea, they walked out of it. So they don't need a ship to walk back in, to go back in. So there's a meaning behind it. We read it earlier. Similitudes. The Most High has this Bible written in similitudes. The prophecies are double-fold, right? So this is Deuteronomy 5 and verse 6. It says, I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. So Egypt is synonymous for what? For bondage, slavery. That's what Egypt means. So let's go back to 68, Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again, meaning what? Slavery again, this time with ships. Who went on slavery on slave ships? There's no other nation that's gone on slavery, and I mean chattel slavery on slave ships, apart from the so-called black man. Right? And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again, meaning slavery again, with ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. You will never see the homeland of Israel again. And there, when you get to that new land, ye shall be sold unto your enemies, not your friends, unto your enemies, for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. The Most High said we're going to be sold unto our enemies. Last I checked, in Malachi, I believe it's chapter 3, verse 6, if I'm not mistaken, the Most High don't change. They were our enemies then, they're our enemies today. Stop fooling yourself thinking just because you've known this so-called white man for 10, 15 years, you know his mom, you know his dad, you think they're your friends. They're not your friends. That's what God said. That's what God said. Now, if you wanna think they're your friends, you be with them and watch what happens to you. This is Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 21. Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not go unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. Righteousness is keeping God's commandment when you read Deuteronomy 6 and 25 or Luke 1 and 4. Right? But if you want to join hand in hand with the wicked, which is these other nations, you're gonna be punished with them. Thus saith the Lord. All we're doing is bringing warning. That's all we're doing. Now, if you take heed, all praises to the Most High. If you listen, you change your ways, you repent, all praises. The angels are going to be turning up in heaven. But if you don't, you're going to be caught up in this. Right? Let's go to Baruch. This is the book of Baruch, chapter 4 and verse 19. So like Baruch 1 and verse 19. This is the book of Baruch chapter 1 and verse 19. It says, since the day that the Lord brought our forefathers out of the land of Egypt unto this present day, we have been disobedient unto the Lord our God, and we have been negligent in not hearing his voice. Till this day, we don't hear the voice of the Most High. How do you hear the voice of the Most High? Well, he uses people to speak to you. He uses prophets. He uses people that's keeping his commandments to come and show you to keep his laws. He's using me right now. Right? All praises to the Most High. Because I pray to be his vessel, man. Right? He's using many brothers to break down his word, to let our people understand it. That's how you hear the voice of the Most High. Not just that, he can speak to you in dreams as well. Right? Verse 20, Baruch 1 and verse 20. Wherefore the evils cleaved unto us, and the curse which the Lord appointed by Moses his servant at the time that he brought our fathers out of the land of Egypt, to give us a land that floweth with milk and honey, like as it is to see this day. Nevertheless, we have not hearkened unto the voice of the Lord our God, according unto all the words of the prophets, whom he sent unto us. But every man followed the imagination of his own wicked heart, to serve strange gods and to do evil in the sight of the Lord our God. We follow our own hearts, right? We follow our own hearts because this feels good, right? It makes sense for me to do this because my heart tells me, this is right. My heart tells me this is right. This is okay. But what does the Most High say about your heart? Your wicked heart, man. This is Jeremiah 7 and verse 9. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? We're not supposed to trust in our hearts because the heart is deceitful above all things. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. This is Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. So we're supposed to deny what we think, what we feel. We're supposed to trust in these scriptures, trust in the Lord with all our hearts, right? And all our might. Right? Let's go to Deuteronomy. I'm almost done. This is Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 19. It says, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. Right now we're not living because we chose the curse. But when we start keeping his commandments, we start living, and we're going to inherit the kingdom. Everlasting life, dominion, right? No working again, no sorrow, right? So we have to choose life. This is Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse number 1. It says, and it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations whither the Lord thy God hath driven thee, and shalt return unto the Lord thy God, and shalt obey his voice according to all that I have commanded thee this day, thou and thy children with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord thy God hath scattered thee. That's when the Most High is going to take away these punishments that is put upon us. When we come back and start keeping his commandments. Christ told us, if we love him, what should we do? Plain upon tables, Christ told us, if you love him, keep my commandments. This is John chapter 14 and verse 15. Red letter. If ye love me, keep my commandments. If we love Christ, we must keep his commandments. Right? That's out of his own mouth. Now you can't go to Paul's letters and try and get away with what Christ is saying. You can't go to Paul's letter and say, well, see Paul's saying this. Well, first of all, you're unstable and you're wrestling with Paul's letters to your own destruction. You're unstable in the law. You don't understand the law. But yeah, you're going to roll to Paul's letters to justify what Christ is saying. Christ said, if you love me, keep my commandments. There's nothing else Paul can tell you that's contradictory to what Christ is saying. Did Paul die for you? The man who died for you said, if you love me, keep my commandments. Yet we don't want to do that. We want to run to Paul. Our people are wicked, man. This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 1 and verse 27. It says, but God hath chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. And God hath chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty. Right? That's why we're able to go into these churches and confound the pastors. They've been going to seminary school, or we call it cemetery school, because that's where you go to die. They've been going to seminary school for 15 years. And we've picked up this Bible 2, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years and plus, and we can confound these Christians, these pastors. Why? Because they ain't got the Spirit. The Messiah said he's chosen the foolish things of this world to confound the wise, and the weak things of this world to confound the things which are mighty, those who believe they're mighty. Right? The Messiah has always been with the underdog. Look at David and Goliath. Goliath was this, I don't know how, he was a giant in those days. David was just a man. But David defeated him. The Messiah has always been dealing with the underdogs. Always been dealing with the ones who the world is claiming to be foolish. We're looked at those people today. When I speak to pastors, they look at me like that. Like I can't tell them nothing. Because they've done this, they've done that, they've got this congregation. But all I'm trying to do is have a sit down with certain pastors and just show them the scriptures. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm always trying to hit up pastors. And even some of my brothers who don't want to hear from me no more. Right? All I'm trying to do is just show you guys the scriptures. Because there's death coming. Right? So we've got a sin warning. The Messiah told us to sin warning. Right? This is Revelation. I'm almost done. I've got a couple more precepts and that's it. This is Revelation 14. Revelation 14 and verse number 12. It says, here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. The patience of the saints. Again, the kingdom's not for everybody. It's for the 12 tribes of Israel. That's why the kingdom has 12 gates. Right? Let me quickly get that. Quick precept. It's the book of Revelation 21 and verse 12. It says, and had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates. Not one big pearly gate for everybody to walk in. Not 2 gates, for one for the good and one for the bad. It said it had 12 gates. Why has it got 12 gates? We've got 12 children of Israel. That's who the kingdom's for. That's thus saith the Lord. Right? And had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, 12 bouncers. Right? And names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. That's who the kingdom is for. That's who the kingdom is for. Now, Revelations 14 and 12. Here is the patience of the saints. The patience of the saints. So the saints are patiently waiting. Right? Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. So the saints are the one keeping the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. So who are the saints? Who are the saints according to the Bible? Is it the Christian church? No, it's not. The Bible explains itself who the saints are. It's the book of Psalm chapter 148 and verse 14. He also exalteth the horn of his people, the praise of all his saints, even of the children of Israel. A people near unto him, praise ye the Lord. A people near unto him, praise ye the Lord. So the Messiah is not dealing with everybody else. He's only dealing with the saints. This is Psalm 147 and verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob. Now we know Christ is the word, right? So again, double fold. He showeth his word unto Jacob. He showed the commandments unto Jacob. He's also sent Christ to die for the children of Israel, for Jacob, right? His statutes and his judgments unto Israel. The commandments unto Israel and the judgments for breaking those commandments went to Israel. That's what the white man's not done. He's not had any punishment happen to him yet. Man's gone around raping, robbing, right? Pushing his homosexuality agenda, right? Making everybody pay taxes for 400 plus years, and nothing has happened to him. No punishment from God. Yet, right? The Most High is just letting his sin stack up. That's why when we go off, instantly rebuke. Instant you get punishment. Right? Because the Most High loves us. And he hates Esau. When you read Romans 9 and 13. Right? And Malachi 1 and 4. You see what I'm saying? So let me finish this. Psalm 147 and 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. They have not known the judgments of the Lord. Right? This is Joel 2 and verse 27. And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God, and none else. And my people shall never be ashamed. Why are we going to be ashamed when we got the Most High on our side? Right? We'll never be ashamed. I'll never be ashamed to bring out this word. I wouldn't, Yah willing, Most High willing, I'll never be ashamed to bring out his word. Right? This is Amos 3 and verse 1. Hear this word that the Lord hath spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which are brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for your iniquities. Because we're the only one who's given the commandments to. He didn't give the commandments to Moab. He didn't give the commandments to the Chinese man. He didn't give the commandments to the white man. He didn't give the commandments to the Korean man. He didn't give the commandments to the East Indian man. He gave it to you, so-called black man, so-called Mexican, and so-called Native Americans. That's who he gave the commandments to. That's why he's saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for your iniquities. That's why we're getting punished for what we've done. Because the Most High is only dealing with us. Right? Last two precepts. And I'm going to close out. This is Revelations 22 and verse number 12. Revelation 22 and 12. And behold, this is red letter. And behold, I'll come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be. Christ is coming back to give to every man according as his work shall be. Not just, I got faith and I went to church on Sunday. What did you do with that faith? What commandments did you keep? Did you love your brother? Did you help your brother? Right? Did you teach your brother? Did you help your family? Did you keep my feast days? All of that is it's being considered. Not just saying you have faith. Right? Faith without works is dead. Read the book of James. You can't say you got faith and you ain't got works. And you can't say you got works and you ain't got no faith. It goes hand in hand. That's why we read earlier in Revelation, I believe it was 14 and 12, the patience of the saints, here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. Right? Last precept. This is Revelations 22 and verse 14. Blessed are they that do his commandments. Not just hear it, that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter through the gates into the city. Right? Blessed are they that do his commandments. This is the last verse. Sorry, the last chapter. Revelations 22 and verse 14. Right? So this is I wanted to do a quick one, but obviously I've gone over the time that I wanted to do, but Lord willing, people were edified, right? And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to help. If there's any rebuttal, if I'm wrong, someone show me, you can show me that in the comment. Or even if you want to have a debate, if you want to chat about the scriptures, I'm down for that, I'm not I'm always learning. I don't know everything, right? But I'm always willing to learn. So I want to say Halal, YAHAWAH, BAHASHEM, HaMashiach, YAHAWASHI, and I want to say Shalom.